This is Tiny coming to you, and unfortunately, I do have some bad news. We had some audio corruption issues with our audio, so we had to make the difficult decision to take the audio from the video and use that for the episode because our only other feasible option was to not have an episode this week, and we didn't want to do that. And we're proud of every episode, so we want you to be able to hear it. So it's not going to be great, but it's very listenable. But we think we've narrowed down the problem, and we're going to have that fixed next week. And hopefully, if something does happen, we have a much better backup that we're going to institute. And we hope that something like this never happens again. If this is your first listen, I'm sorry that your first listen is this. But we hope you enjoy the episode anyway. Y'all have a good day, and please enjoy. Do all the things. Share us, like us, subscribe to us. All the things that all the audio and video people want you to do. Just do the things. We'd appreciate it. Anyway, y'all have a good one. Enjoy the episode.
The artist said he actually that was the best pair of tits he ever drew.
Heck yeah.
And now I can say I have a good pair of tits on my back.
Nice.
Hi, Patreon.
So, I got us a taste it. It's one of your wussy boy taste its.
You mean our good taste tits?
Yeah.
So you're actually wanting us to
Shit.
I'm wanting you to like it. It is a pumpkin spice cookie.
Oh no.
Oh.
Yeah.
But there
You
has
know,
to be a
I
tiny
did
twist.
open it.
Wait a
You know,
minute.
so it was pre-open. What do you mean, wait a minute? It's a cookie.
This is gonna be a pumpkin spice dog treat.
It's gonna be
It's
a
a
dog
cookie.
treat. You're not showing us the bag for a reason.
It's a cookie.
It's a pumpkin spice
I'm
dog
not eating a dog treat.
It's not a
Tiny.
dog treat, it's a cookie.
Then show me the bag.
Eat it. I'm gonna eat one too. It's a cookie. It's a pumpkin and cinnamon cookie. Smell it. It's a cookie.
That's a mother Frenching dog treat. Here, Austin.
Here.
That's a dog treat. I can tell by looking at it. It's a dog
See,
treat.
I was afraid that y'all would be able to tell. Nola really likes them,
Well, I'm glad
and
she
they
does.
smell like they'd be good. So here, we're gonna try one.
I'm not gonna try one.
I've eaten dog treats before. They're really not that bad. These actually smell like human cookies, almost.
All right, I'm gonna take a nibble of one because I
Yeah,
honestly don't
The
want
whole
to eat.
thing.
No, I'm
No.
nibbling.
I don't want to eat a dog treat. I don't. If I want that, my Millie's got some blueberry ones in there. I could have definitely tried.
Come on, these are seasonal.
Okay. And well, just because these are shaped like little pumpkins.
And I got a
instead
ghost.
of
I got a ghost.
Okay, well I got a little pumpkin.
There's a ghost, a pumpkin, and a bat signal.
Fine. I guess we'll rate
It's
the
a
Blue
literal-
Buffalo Boo Bars. 1, 2, 3.
Mm.
It's really good.
Ah! Bad, Tiny.
Nola loves them.
Yeah, because she's a Frenching dog. I'm not a dog. Oh.
Well, you're acting like a bitch.
Fuck it, I don't care. I'm not. I'm mad at you. That was bad.
Oh.
It splintered like I was eating
I'm still
polyboard.
chewing it.
It felt like I was eating a cheap disc from Staples.
I have it in my tooth. It's still in my tooth.
It takes a lot of chewing.
I think I'm gonna get it out of my tooth because I keep tasting liver.
I don't know how my dog eats them so quickly.
Because they don't have molars like we do. They have just chompies.
Never in my life have I been more disappointed by a dog treat. I've eaten the beef jerky sticks before.
The ones at PetSmart that look like cookies, those are actually pretty good.
I mistakenly thought they had cookies out for their guests
Mhm.
at PetSmart one day, and I just grabbed me an Oreo.
Mhm.
It's not an Oreo.
Yeah. That wasn't the best dog treat I've had, but wasn't the worst.
Oh my god, that was the least pleasant thing that I've had to eat in so long. And mind you, the last unpleasant thing I had to eat was brought on this podcast by you during a
By
taste
Otto?
it. By you Tiny,
Mm.
you, the one who brought the durian fruit, which caused me distress.
Yep.
Now you've brought us what smelled to be pumpkin spice dog
Like,
treats.
smell the bag. The bag smells like.
I don't
thought
need
it,
to.
I thought it would taste more human cookie like. Because the bag,
I have
like,
had,
it straight up smells like human cookies.
I have had those dog treat cookies at the PetSmart. In my brain, I thought, okay, take a nibble. If it is anything like those cookies, you'll be able to do this. It'll be fine. But the first instance that the grainy separating in a way our food shouldn't separate style
Yeah.
like hit in the mouth,
I think it's because it's very oaty. There was a lot of oats in there.
it's I think the prominent thing about it to me that was bad, which probably was what sent Otto into a fit, was the texture of it.
Oh, that was unpleasant.
It took Otto into
Am I the
a bad-
only one that ate the entire thing?
Yes.
You consider
Yes.
because you're a beast man.
I mean,
You've upset me.
We could call you Mr. Beast, but then you might get negative internet publicities.
My mood
yeah, don't
is-
do that.
My mood has been altered. I am upset now.
So you had a mind and or mood altering substance?
Yes, and it's ruined that. That alteration has been ruined by the current alteration.
Oh no, man! I can't believe that you done gave him something all sobering and stuff.
I'm upset.
Well, hey everyone, I'm Austin Shazam. I just got through playing at a food truck festival. Pfeiffer.
I'm Otto. Tiny has upset me in two different ways today. Cogdell.
And I'm Tiny the Bong Ripper. So that leads us into what we're talking about today.
Hold on.
What? Just like I've murdered your good mood?
Yeah, I was just going to say we're Nerd of the Grapevine,
Oh, yeah.
podcast where three best friends gather weekly to talk about our favorite past, present, and future nerd culture parts, like the stuff in my
That's true.
teeth.
True. Oh god. Oh god.
So as you murdered Otto's mood.
As I murdered Otto's mood, today we're discussing the infamous Jack the
Yeah, it
Ripper.
just sticks around, doesn't it? Like, I spit all of it out almost immediately, and I can still have a vague feeling of it.
Oh, it is
It cracks
packed
me.
in my
It
teeth.
cracks me up because it reminds me of when I was on the playground as a kid and I accidentally got like dirt in my teeth.
Oh,
Like,
that's the worst
you
greeny
jump,
texture.
Like you jump off the swing a little too high and you fall face first on the ground. Next thing you know, you're just yeah, slosh it around. I got me a Coke Zero. Yeah,
I've got a bunch of it, but there's still some packed in there.
it's almost gone. I only took it in. So Jack the Ripper. That is.
Jack the Ripper.
If there is a bigger step into actual spooky season, I don't know what it would be. Because we go from light step to now. He is still to this day a mystery.
He is. He's arguably the first serial killer, and like you said, it's a mystery.
I mean, he's been moved up to like legend status.
Yeah, there's a branch of study called Ripperology, and that is trying to figure out who he
It
is.
sounds just like a weird vape personality turned into a different YouTube channel.
Or
Yeah.
oh, Rip Trippers turn into Ripperology.
Yeah, welcome to the Ripperology channel.
Cut through their string and it's a prostitute's asshole.
Ew.
I remember when he used to, back in the day whenever vaping was actually monetizable on YouTube, he had the weirdest, like,
Who?
Rip Trippers.
Oh, he's still weird.
Tiny and me went on a bad wormhole one day. with Rip
You
Trippers.
haven't watched his breathwork channel.
He's
No, I did because you sent the link to us.
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah, I couldn't remember if I actually sent the link or not.
And then his kids' YouTube channel that he
Yeah,
started.
that one's weird, but the breathwork is weirder because he's almost like, I feel like he's starting a cult.
Dude, he's already a part of one. He's part of the Twin Flames.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, brother.
Oh gosh, but to get off of that horse, or Jack the Ripper.
Yeah, so Jack the Ripper was active in October of 1888. He operated in the Whitechapel district of London, and he was known by a couple different names at the time. Obviously, his most famous name, Jack the Ripper, but he was also known as, the Whitechapel Murderer and Leather Apron.
That's where the band Whitechapel gets its name, I assume.
Probably. I don't know if it's just because of the place or because of that. I don't know.
And also their songs all sound like people dying.
I mean, it could be. So, he has been known canonically to have perpetrated 5 murders, all of which were prostitutes, which was a legal profession at the time. Well, that was kind of a weird thing because they couldn't advertise, but they could do it. But they couldn't ask to be paid, but you could pay them.
Yeah.
Weird stuff. That's why they had districts. But anyway, so wow, that just really derailed me.
That's
But-
an interesting fact, though.
Yeah, it's
Because-
just one of those random ones that stuck in my brain hole.
Because if you think about it that way, these victims are the people that you would walk by down, as you're going to and fro, walking and doing your thing. They're the people that are always there,
Yeah, that'd
but
be-
go unnoticed at the same time.
Exactly, and that's thought to be one of the reasons why he did that, was to be able to fulfill whatever he was trying to fulfill, be it ritualistic or just some sick fantasy, as to why he picked these 5 prostitutes to do what he did. Because for people that don't know, he would strangle these ladies and then usually cut their throats, usually from left to right. 4 of them, but anyway, and then he would ritualistically almost remove organs and scatter them about. So some of them might be completely gone, some might be laid out in some weird kind of symbology.
And that's pretty much just symbology that would be known to him.
Yes.
Because everybody has spent, I don't know, when did this take place? 1870s something?
1882.
Okay, I was close. You'd said.
Or, I'm sorry, 1888, not
I
1882.
didn't remember if you'd said, but it was like man, think about how wild it would be for people to have to be deciphering murders of this kind.
Yep.
At that point in time when nothing of its sort is happening.
Exactly, because there wasn't even that much electricity. Like some places had that, but your street lamps were gas lamps at the time. So you're talking lower light conditions. And if you've ever seen Whitechapel, because I've watched many documentaries about Jack the Ripper, they're very narrow alleyways with very tall buildings.
Yeah, because it was
So-
like lower income. It was
Exactly.
the slums kind of.
Yeah, this was the lower income part of the city, and you could take 2 to 3 steps into an alleyway and completely disappear.
Yeah.
Due to that and smog and just everything going on, like easy to disappear. So you just basically got to step out, step back, gone.
Oh, the methane vapor fog as well from the
Yep.
improper sewage drainage at the time, and everybody was just basically just walking around. If it rained, they were all be walking in their own shit.
Yes.
Yeah.
And for the victims, it all happened outside in the alleyways. The 5th one, she was actually murdered in her home.
And the 5th one was the one that also had the reverse direction of the
Yes.
blade drag.
Mary Jane Kelly.
So that was it was the one that begged the question, like, was that a copycat murder,
Right.
or was that the actual Jack the Ripper? And if so, why so? And it still further drives a mystery. Like, if it was ritualistic, what if everything that was done had to be done a specific way until the very last one had to be done the opposite way of doing things?
Right.
Like,
Well,
I don't know.
it's theorized that one he was in more of a hurry to do, which leads to a completely different well, not completely, but mostly different MO. So, my brain's a little all over.
You're fine. You consume nutrients you weren't meant to consume.
Yeah.
There's no telling what kind of effect it might have. Oh, are those calming treats? You ought to look.
They're not.
Damn.
They were at Walmart for $3.88.
Because they usually does those things pretty heavy with like tryptophan. So
Yeah.
you could be over there about to take nappy.
You might have a Thanksgiving nap in
Well,
October.
that's what it would be.
Look, what we had was very indica heavy, so
Those herbs and spices, man.
So the first lady, he ended up he stabbed her through the private parts,
Ooh.
and then he went to remove her uterus and sections of her bladder. And they say that the uterus is in such a place that if you didn't know it was there, you wouldn't really be able to find it.
Yeah, that was something else I always heard was like the precision that
Yeah,
he would do
very
everything with.
surgical precision.
Yeah, people actually thought that maybe he was like a surgeon or some,
Yes.
or like even a butcher because of just how
Yep.
clean everything was.
Exactly, and the leather apron, that was indicative at the time of more of a butcher. But a lot of the butchers, you know some basic anatomy because you're cutting off various cuts of meat for your customers. And one of the popular theories was that he was a barber.
Oh, yeah.
Because barbers performed minor surgeries back in the day.
Yeah, that's what the red and the red, the poles, the red, white, and blue poles. The white was, I think, like just the general pole. Blue was you're a dentist. Red is like you're a surgeon or something like that. Like
It's
there's a
something to that
symbol
effect. Yeah.
behind, like if you
Yeah,
have a
red-
certain color.
Yeah, red definitely was for the surgery things because blood.
Yeah, they would hang the bloody rags out to dry
Yeah.
out front.
Yep.
Damn.
Yeah, crazy stuff, man.
And this is just, think about it this way. This is, less than 200 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is less than 200 years ago.
We're talking like I think it's less than 150.
And you climb from that kind of thing to where nobody has any idea what's going on. Like, how in the world are all these people just turning up dead and they're all killed the same way? And nowadays it's like you get 2 bodies in, it's like instantly jumping into theories like, okay, how many bodies are there? You don't even have to have bodies, and people assume you have bodies.
Yep.
Where are the bodies, G?
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
one of those things. Like, and now stuff starts coming out afterwards, and you're like, oh shit, was that real? So back then, though, they had none of that.
Exactly, and he would even taunt the police, because he wrote one letter was a Dear Boss letter, and then there was a postcard, and then the From Hell letter. So he was even taunting the police, telling them what he's gonna do. Like, one of them, he said he was gonna remove her ear, his next victim. So when they found this lady, sure enough, parts of her ear was missing.
I think From Hell is a really good Halloween time watch. It's not.
Isn't Johnny Depp in that one?
Johnny Depp is
Yep.
in that one, and of course Helena Bonham Carter. I think they're contractually obligated. They're like probably, I don't know, movie married.
Pretty much.
I mean, think of the last Johnny Depp movie you saw, and if she was in it.
Pirates of the
Pirates of the
Caribbean.
Caribbean, yeah, she was not in that one.
That doesn't count. That's Disney.
That's the last one I've seen, was
Yeah.
one of those.
You're right.
It's one of the few actual Johnny Depp movies I've seen. I'm a fake fan,
You're a fake fan?
I guess.
That's fine. You like Jack Sparrow.
Hmm?
Well, that's fine. You
Well,
like
because
Jack
I was a
Sparrow.
kid when the Pirates of the Caribbean movies were coming out, so it was like funny, goofy man.
Yeah. He just randomly shows up at Disney parks sometimes dressed up as
Same with hospitals. He actually goes and he stole, or I don't know if he stole or like acquired one of the Jack Sparrow costumes, and he just shows up to children's hospitals.
Ryan
Cool
Reynolds
guy.
does the same thing as Deadpool.
Yeah, cool guy.
What's his name? Robbie Downey Jr. He does the same thing as Iron Man. I watched a video of him actually showing up to a hospital like as Tony Stark with his Iron Man bionic thing to put on his hand to like activate it and stuff. And this amputee child was gifted like from the middle of the bicep down.
Oh yeah, the 3D printed Iron Man arm.
Like an Iron Man.
Oh,
yeah,
that's
that was
cool.
really cool.
And Tony Stark
remember
presents
that.
it to him, and this kid is in such genuine awe of everything going on that he is in that's who's there. Like
I
it's
mean,
Oh,
because he still has the magic. I mean, that's still like that's Tony Stark giving me an Iron Man arm.
Yeah, which that's awesome.
I would let everyone in school know that I have an Iron Man arm from Tony Stark.
because
Yeah.
then the boy like got his arm on and his arm was like working, and he could move his hand, and he moved his hand around, and he put his hand out, and the blaster lit up, and then Tony took his hand out and did the same thing, and his glitched. It didn't actually work.
That's awesome.
And he's like, they've got better technology in yours than we've got in mine. And the kid was like, thank you so much.
That's cool.
That's super awesome.
Oh, right in the feels.
So for a completely different emotion,
yeah.
what's the next lady what lady did he kill then?
that was the last murder that we were talking about.
Yeah.
The lady that was named right
Yeah,
there.
the first lady was Mary Ann Nichols, followed by Annie Chapman, Elizabeth Stride, Catherine Eddowes, and Mary Jane Kelly. There were the 5 ladies murdered.
So Mary Jane Kelly's the most infamous of the names, just because of the
Well,
mysteries.
hers was the most brutal.
Yeah, because it was more of a butchering than a surgery, as
Yeah.
opposed to the other ones were like almost were so precise and so well done that it's like they just went under the knife of an actual surgeon, just
Yep.
flayed them.
And that one, it was like a maniac, just stab wounds everywhere.
Yeah,
They think that if the killer was if the reason the murders happened involved the royal family, that she was the actual target due to the brutality of her murder.
like almost more of a crime of passion than
Exactly.
just kill.
Exactly, because the one theory is Prince Albert he was married at the time, but he was known to like to go to the brothel areas, and supposedly that was her that he went to the most, got her pregnant, and that was his only child at the time. Like, he didn't have an heir, so his heir would have been the child of a prostitute. So they did things to try to cover that up by brutally murdering her, but through like deflection, they murdered 4 other ones. That's one of the theories, which is a pretty good theory if you ask me.
Right.
But that's one of those theories from looking back, not theories of the time.
Right. See, my theory, like, what if it was actually like one of the people in police? You know, like maybe like the police commissioner, and then like one of the billionaires could like go around, like dressed up in a suit and like look around and see if he could find it.
I mean, maybe.
I like some of the theories about who Jack the Ripper actually might be.
Oh yeah.
Because that's the best. As for now, there's no Jack the Ripper hiding in the closet waiting
Right.
to get you. And I wasn't the demographic in the first place. I mean, it's something it's very grotesque and dark and awful that it exists. But
My favorite theory is that it was Herman Webster Mudgett.
That's a
Does
name.
that name ring a bell?
No.
Perhaps his better, more infamous name of H.H. Holmes rings a bell.
yeah, that's right.
It was. I figured that's where he was going. It was usurping, because the great grandson of Herman Webster Mudgett surfaced, and he has diaries from H.H. Holmes that documented the time that he was alive, and due to things that are said, he postulated that his great-great-grandfather was actually Jack the Ripper, and that the Jack the Ripper murders were almost like trial runs.
Oh, to see if like it'll work out in a book or something.
Right, because the 2 years that Jack was active, those 2 years are... Okay, H.H. Holmes left a big paper trail everywhere he went, because he would move around, have businesses, do all the insurance frauds. Well, during those 2 years, he was completely absent. Like, there was nothing. And the diaries placed him in England in the Whitechapel area at the time, and even alluded to the fact that he was Jack.
And H.H. Holmes, just in case people are listening that aren't real big spoopiers like some of us, that when you get into talking about serial killers and you get to talking about numbers that have stacked, H.H. Holmes, is he at the top? Are you around the top?
His
He's thinking about 200.
confirmed kills of his is only 27, but he confessed to doing over 230 kills.
Yeah, because that's insane. I was just reading a little tidbit about him, and it's not on any kind of it's oddly enough not on a scary website or anything. This is on HistoryChannel.com. He said to all of his dark deeds actually culminate at the construction of building a hotel on Chicago's south side that he engineered to be a factory of death,
The Murder Castle.
complete with a gas chamber, dissection room, trap doors, and a basement furnace to destroy any trace of his sinister work.
Yep.
So if this person already had a room dedicated to dissection, it would not be a very far-fetched thought that this person had taken place in human dissection in the first place somewhere else
Yeah.
before.
Right. And
Well,
if you're going over to like if you need somewhere that people can disappear and not really have too much of a word about it, the slums of the UK and Ladies of the Night being killed, like most people wouldn't notice or really care too much about that.
Exactly. And in his early years, he worked as like a doctor's assistant because you could just do that. You know, he started, I want to say, around 13 to 14. And then when he got old enough, he actually went to medical school. And so he had actual medical training and surgical training. So he wasn't just some guy that suddenly knew how to do this thing. He had legitimate medical training. And in the diaries, they compared the handwriting from one of the pages of his diary to the, which one was it? It's not the From Hell, the Dear Boss letter. They sent it to a handwriting analysis person, and he looked at it, and he said these were written by the same person. Well, then they fed copies of them into a computer, and with a 97.89 percentage, it was like a perfect match in handwriting.
Wait a minute, I just had a theory idea. What if we combine those two theories? What if H.H. Holmes did the first four, and then the Crown had to cover up the last one and just go, well, there's this Jack the Ripper guy going around. What if we make it look like he did that one?
I mean, it's entirely
Because
possible.
that would
great.
explain. Because then also, I mean, like, maybe it wasn't like this big plan. I think maybe it was just like well, this is convenient.
Yeah, because it was theorized that the last one wasn't done by Jack because of how much different that kill was.
And that would be great if it was Prince Albert that was the copycat killer, because it's like having your morbid cake and eating it too. I mean, you get, it's a twofer right there. Because in my brain, I had to learn at least two big names in the police academy when it came down to serial killers, and that was H.H. Holmes, and that was Ed Gaines. Or Gaines. Gein. That makes it better because
Yeah,
I don't want to put an S on it that way. It's Gein, Ed Gein.
Yep,
Gentle Ed.
the nipple belt.
Everybody thought that this man was just a slow-paced, slower-minded individual that lived in town, and he would just kind of come around, and he would come in and like, hey, Ed. Turns out, anytime anybody got lost and was around his area, he would welcome them into the house, offer them something to eat, and kill them.
Yeah, and take pieces of their body and make weird taxidermy.
He did
Yeah,
lamps.
he had a belt
belts.
made of nipples.
Yeah, he did have a nipple belt. It was the weirdest utility thing because it had different like sprays for each one. And then you had his
Well, with a piercing for your keys.
the lampshade made out of human flesh. He had the bowls made out of human skulls,
Yep.
and he had like forks made out of phalanges.
Yeah,
I mean, I
you
guess
know,
he just really didn't want to go to the Walmart to get anything. I mean,
Maybe
just make it
just
it
crafting.
yourself.
It's
There wasn't a Hobby Lobby
and
nearby.
it's not like he's good at metalsmithing, but he's good at Mod Podge and murder.
Yeah,
Welcome back to Modge Podge and Murder. On today's episode,
We're gonna
we're making a chair.
Out of human legs.
First, you take your leg.
You put the right one in, you put the right one out. You put the right one in, and you shake it all about. That's the hokey pokey. That's not how you actually make a chair out of human
Well,
legs.
we don't know how it actually did it.
I don't know either.
I
Because
don't want to know.
Because the thing that scared the police the most whenever they investigated was the fact that they were already creeped out in the first damn place, walking through the house and seeing all this stuff that they're like, because at one point in your imagination, you can think to yourself like, oh, this is fake. this is fake. This isn't
Yeah,
real.
like a really good Halloween decoration
This
or
is a
something.
prop of some sort. This is not real. But the second that you walk into the room and you're greeted by a skin suit that's hanging there, face to face
Yeah.
with you, and you can see that this is real.
I mean, Jeffrey Dahmer was just as bad. Like, he had dismembered genitals that he just toted around in a box with some porn.
And I can't believe that just a vat of acid in a barrel in the corner of your
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
With
You
a,
just have one of those.
with a Tupperware lid basically on the top of it.
Yeah, I think he had lined it with plastic because the type of acid that he used
Well, I'm glad he was
would
being
have to be
safety
plastic. Would have
conscious.
to have plastic. Otherwise, it would rot and go through everything. Well, he got caught because he would dissolve them and pour them down the toilet and backed up the sewer.
Dang.
Like, because there would
Jeez.
still be some chunklets.
That's all of it's rough. Like this, just the serial killers in the first place. And I don't know if people
Thank
got
you.
inspired by Jack the Ripper and the stories of Jack the
I
Ripper.
feel like they almost had to because a lot of them have borrowed different ideas from Jack.
Yeah, the whole dismemberment and,
Yep.
you know, laying out ritually thing.
Yeah, and I mean, even like stemming into the H.H. Holmes stuff, like people had to idolize that because there's so many, like, and I'm not saying. Oh, bless you. Are you okay?
Dang.
I think I'm okay.
Hey, there's so many things that stem out from it, being that that's one of the first things that are the big documented cases. That now it's not copycats, it's inspiration.
Yep. Well, I mean, H.H. Holmes had one of the highest IQs ever on record. Come to find out through all my research, I ended up starting at Jack and then started digging into the connection between him and H.H. Holmes, and I just found that very fascinating.
Yeah, because I had
Because it's interesting that it's the great grandson that's so adamant to try to find the evidence that he petitioned the city of Chicago because where the murder castle was is now a post office. So he has to get permission to excavate because he says there has to be some evidence there because during that time, typically when they would demolish a building, they would just collapse it into itself. So most of that building is probably still under the ground. So if there's evidence in there, maybe some survived that they can compare with evidence from Jack the Ripper.
that's a real Hail Mary there, bud.
It really
Yeah.
is. But
Hey, can I excavate your post office real quick to maybe find out if
Well-
my guy killed somebody 200 years ago?
well, most of where the murder castle was is actually in the parking lot. So he wouldn't have to touch the building. He just got to knock a hole in the parking lot.
Oh, is that all?
Yeah, but I mean, think of it from a historical aspect. Like, wouldn't you want to know and be able to solve these crimes?
I mean, yeah, that would be cool, but that's a lot of legwork.
I mean, it is, but well, here's the thing: here's this guy that's wanting to do the legwork for you. You just gotta let him do it.
Well, then that's worth it.
Yeah. So it's like we all get answers if he's able to, find something or whatever. I say let him dig. I want to know.
Yeah, because that's it's one of those. God, even like movies. Getting inspiration from actual real life serial killers in the way that they make more fictitious scenarios for these people to still be carrying out similar style murders. Like it all had to come from somewhere because they used to not have that. Used to not have any of it. So the allure of it actually draws people in. The viewership draws people in.
Yep.
You get the Menendez brothers murders getting put on your Netflix and it getting like one of the top rated Netflix shows for like 2 or 3 weeks running. And you get the Jeffrey Dahmer one that has the guy from American Horror Story and I forget his name, but it stayed in the top 10 on Netflix for almost like a month and a half.
Yep. Didn't they even make a movie about the Zodiac killer?
I believe they did.
There's been a bunch of
I
those.
think Jake Gyllenhaal
Yeah.
was in that. I think it was called Zodiac.
I heard there's a new, it's a biopic of Ted Cruz.
He's Wait.
Have you not heard that joke that Ted Cruz is a Zodiac killer?
Please inform me on that later. because
Okay.
I love a good political farce. So, yeah, that's so. There's more on Jack the Ripper though. There has to be more.
Yeah, well,
There's a lot.
The less interesting ones are also on there as well, because History Channel has them documented on here, and they also had a retired English detective that was a German sailor named Carl Feigenbaum.
That's a name.
Yeah, that is a name.
I don't know if you mispronounced it or not, but good job.
Feigenbaum?
Yeah.
Feigenbaum.
That sounds like almost a slur.
I mean, I can't say that you're wrong. That's probably what I would call it too.
He was executed for murdering a New York woman in 1894. The detective, Trevor Marriott, was a former member of the Bedfordshire Homicide Police. All this stuff about this same person. He has alias upon alias upon alias, and almost all of those aliases had a different murder that was revolving around where they had been. So they were thinking that maybe at the time, while he had stayed in Whitechapel, that he had been the one to perpetrate Jack the Ripper's killings.
You know, that's one of the wild things I think, like, the Jack the Ripper thing, like, really shows, like, there could have been other serial killers. So back then, before, like, this is so well known and well documented, like, you just pick up and leave and no one would know that you were there. So it's like, two towns could have a serial killer and it's actually the same killer, just... I mean, because back then it's like that. You didn't have a social security number, a driver's license. Like, you could just disappear for the most part.
I mean, it was the early 2000s, and you can still leave the house and not see people for days and not know what's going on with them until they come back to the house.
Yeah, and you would just assume, oh, well, I guess they're fine. I haven't heard anything bad about them.
No.
Like, your neighbor could just be gone and there's no thing, or a family member could just walk out. I mean, you didn't. Not everyone had a cell phone. You wasn't like checking in on Facebook everywhere or Snapchatting. You were just, and then you had another one there. You're welcome. But
Oh, yeah.
anonymity.
Hold on. I catch it this time. 3439.
Nice.
Cool.
Uh,
No,
but-
that's true. We didn't, because it was like that, and Tiny had mentioned this several moons ago. We were free range children. I believe that might have been a trope that we had all talked about. I think
It was.
So free range children, meaning that we were able to be out and about and go and do, and you go out and you take your bicycle, your fishing pole and some tackle, and you go to the river and you go fish for about 6-7 hours, and then before it gets dark and the street lights are on, you get your ass back to that house. That used to be free range children, and that's kind of what I was getting at with all that. Yeah.
Have y'all ever heard any of the contents of the letters that Jack did write to the police?
I remember seeing them in From Hell as many times as I've watched that movie, but remind me of I don't remember.
I'll just read you one of them. The Dear Boss letter. It's
Yeah.
kind of short, but he had written it very large in red ink, and he sent them to the police. Dear Boss, I kept on hearing the police have caught me, but they won't fix me yet. I have laughed when they look so clever and talk about being on the right track. That joke about Leather Apron gave me real fits. I'm down on whores and I shan't quit ripping them till I get buckled. Grand work the last job was. I gave the lady no time to squeal. How can they catch me now? I love my work and want to start again. You will soon hear of me with funny little games. I saved some of the proper red stuff in the ginger beer bottles over the last job to write with, but it went thick like glue and I can't use it. Red ink is fit enough, I hope. Ha ha. The next job I shall clip the lady's ears off and send to the police officers just for jolly. Wouldn't you? Keep this letter back till I do a bit more work, then give it out straight. My knife's so nice and sharp, I want to get to work right away if I get a chance. Good luck, yours truly, Jack the Ripper. Don't mind me giving the trade name. P.S. Wasn't good enough to post this before, but I got all the red ink off my hands. Curse it, no luck yet. They say I'm a doctor now, ha ha. It's very hard to read because it's a different vernacular from a different time, but just the audacity of him to just be taunting the police and just, I don't know, that just chills me.
The way that he spoke in that letter, though, with it being the different vernacular, reminded me of the Baby Reindeer. I don't know if you ever saw Baby Reindeer. I think it was a Netflix thing too. but
I have not.
Nope.
the guy would receive countless text messages and emails from a stalker who was a frequent flyer at a bar that he would go to, and then for some reason got the idea that he was in love with her.
Oh, I've heard about this. It's
So it's
like
kinda-
a stand-up comic guy.
Yeah, and it's real. It's kind of odd, but just the way that she would talk and carry on like a conversation with herself almost within the content of what she was writing. That's what it kind of seemed like. You know, like they would, when they're done with the sentence, they expect that you've had this kind of response, and then they're writing this next thing because they assume you've had this response from the previous sentence.
Yeah, they almost expect you to be amused by it too, like it's a big joke that you're having between the two of you.
Yeah.
That's
Like
the
it's a
kind
game.
of feel that I get from it, and to me, that's more horrifying than anything else.
Yeah, that's but because it's nobody knows the reasoning behind why it was done. Because to know the reason, you'd have to know the person, and to know the person, you'd have to know the motive. And everybody's got their theories.
Yep.
But regardless, it's just you don't know what would be going on with the murdering of somebody like that. What if it was like ritualistic? I mean, the way that they were arranged.
Like
Or
a
what if it has
Lovecraft,
nothing to do with any of them that we think?
it's like a Lovecraft horror thing. Who knows?
Because wasn't From Hell the one where he was like a member of the Masons, and it was all a certain ritual, and it had to do with like I don't know what it's called, but the level 1 initiation into Freemasonry.
Yeah,
Like,
and that's
wasn't it like Beware the Jewies, something like that? They thought it was like an anti-Semitic slur as well.
no.
I'm just saying, like in the movie.
Oh, in the movie, yeah, it was it was weird because I mean some of the stuff was like, well, I can get where they would see, but it's a whole hell of a lot different played out like that. Like that's taking it to not even an extreme. That's like hearing the thought and you said, yeah, but what if?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's, they took the thought and they say, yeah, but what if?
Right.
Because it's like basically it's within an oath that says I would rather come upon the blade. Da 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 da.
Right.
And
I mean,
it's-
I know what the
Well-
first ritual is, you know, because the Freemasonry website has released what that one is for whatever reason. I don't know. So, but it's almost like a sadistic twist on it that they try to portray in the movie a bit having.
I mean, yeah, it's pretty. I mean, they're pretty violent things said in allegory, basically.
Right.
To mean that you would rather experience these grotesque, obscure things than ever reveal the secrets than you.
Yeah.
And it's all it is just words passed down. Now, where those words were passed down from and what they might have used to meant, and if they were ever taken in a literal sense, that I'd have to ask somebody with like horse teeth, to be able
Right.
to, I'd have to ask somebody with a powdered wig from back in the
Right.
day, like, hey, by the way, Jorge, Mr. Washington, sir, I just wondering, by the way, immaculate red hair you have, and sir, you are so tall. Don't hit me. That would be.
You
That
want to
would-
have a Mason conversation with George Washington?
Oh yeah, just had a little Freemason conversation with the first president of the United States within my head. Hey, this is brought to you by
Subaru.
Subaru, the place where you get your salads. Go get your salads in your Subaru. But don't consider
Sbarro?
no Sbarro. No, that's a pizza place. Oh man, that's
No,
awesome.
you didn't know your car had a salad ball?
I don't have a
Mine does.
Subaru.
Well, I mean, I don't have a Subaru either,
I have
but
a
they have the
Chewy.
bigger ones.
I have a Chewy, Florida.
'Cause I know, I know when I open the bag of the Little Red Express and lift up the carpet, there's a flap. And I open that, then there's a big plastic bowl before you open that and get to the spare. So you can mix a hell of salad in there.
My CRV actually had that. It had a table too. It had a fold-out table and a salad bowl underneath. It was
That-
really the perfect vehicle.
Wait, you
Awesome.
really had a fold-out table
Yes.
inside your CRV?
So, fun fact: the first, for sure, and I believe the second generation CRVs, if you go to where the spare tire normally is in your trunk, there is a folding table that you pop out. It has it only sits about 3 feet off the ground, so
I
it's
had
not
no
super
idea
deep.
there was a bowl.
Yeah, I still have it actually, and underneath it there is a ball that you can pull out that you can presumably put ice in for drinks, and then take the bowl out, dump the water out, and then you're good.
The idea that you
Doesn't
lost
it-
that table in general.
Oh no, I have the table.
Okay,
You
good.
just
No.
lost the car.
Good.
Yeah, the car is gone, but the table lives on. It's beside my washing machine right
Yeah,
now.
absolutely. The table shall remain.
That was gonna cause me some discord.
Yeah, there's a link down there, man. Click it. Get on there, talk to us. There's memes and stuff. We're on there live, uncut, uncensored, and irrevocably circumcised. We're also on YouTube where you can watch us. And we're on Patreon. You can watch us too. You can get the unedited audio.
The
and you can watch us.
uncircumcised cut,
Yeah, you can get us uncircumcised in every way you can get us circumcised in other places.
right? No snip. We don't snip the
Yeah,
tips
we
or
don't-
the ends.
Exactly.
From record button to record
We
button,
don't
all for
snip the
$5.
tips or the bungus.
Nope.
Have you ever heard the theory of the female Ripper?
Jill the Ripper, yes. I don't know a lot about that, but I know that that's a theory.
History Channel says over the years, a number of people, including Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, have toyed with the notion that Jack the Ripper was not a bloodthirsty bloke, but a femme fatale, literally. The only female suspect considered by the detectives investigating the case was Mary Piercy, an English woman who in 1890 was executed for murdering her lover's wife and child with a carving knife.
Huh.
In 2006, a study by the Australian scientist Ian Finlay yielded surprising results that have credence to Jill the Ripper theory. Finlay traveled to London to collect saliva from a selection of Jack the Ripper letters, and experts believe to be the most credible. He extracted the DNA from these samples and used cutting-edge technology to create a partial profile. The findings were far from conclusive. They did suggest that the sender was likely to have been a woman.
And that's something else
Interesting.
that they found problems with Jack the Ripper. There were so many copycat letters that would go out to the
True.
newspapers because it was the modern day sensation. Like every newspaper was wanting to be like, we can publish a Jack the Ripper letter. So they wouldn't really care about the authenticity. They would
Right.
just, someone would send a letter and say, hey, this is Jack the Ripper, and they would just post it.
Yeah, and there is some contention with the Dear Boss letter that could possibly not be Jack's.
Yeah, because I've heard that where there's actually, if you guys are actually interested in knowing more about it, there's a very well put together video called Jack the Ripper by Lemino. He's a Swedish YouTuber. He did a full 40-minute breakdown of everything. I mean, he has times of murders, witnesses, everything. You basically get to know the whole deal. And that's one thing he brought up in the Dear Boss letter was he said, I'm going to snip her ears off, but really he only cut parts of the ears
Yeah,
off,
the
and then
lobes.
there's no record that he got any police officers got parts of it in the mail. So it's one of those it's kind of shaky, but at the same time, it's close enough.
Right.
But
Well, because he said clip the ear. That could mean I'm taking the whole thing, or I'm only taking part of it.
right.
It's not a definitive definition. You know what I'm saying?
And this, what if they had just had a little morsel of ear inside of the letter, and then they opened it, and the morsel of ear fell, and nobody even saw it, so the joke was lost on it in the
like
first
a
place.
little thing of beef
Right.
jerky.
Yeah,
A
literally,
little crumb of beef jerky.
somewhere in some English ham couch somewhere.
Oh.
It's this is
Is
a disseminated dust spot that was once the chunk of ear that was lost from the Jack the Ripper letter that was open.
You.
You're gonna have to tell me whenever they moved the ham couch, what filth was underneath it. I want you guys to flip that over and investigate it.
It was cleaned one day, and I think it was your wife that was telling me about it. They vacuumed it, and they had to empty the vacuum twice.
It was just there was miscellaneous things there. I did find 7 used Q-tips.
Ugh.
That's a good find.
Yeah, that was underneath the fold of the back cushion.
Golden.
I mean,
Yeah.
when you touch it, it
Brown.
crunches. It feels like it should have been soft, but it's not soft.
It looks
You could have used it as a candle or a miniature torch.
It looks like a soft couch, crunches like a hard shell.
Oh, I
top
was
couch.
talking about the waxy.
No, yeah.
No, I was talking about the couch.
He was talking about the couch in general. It's a marvel.
That's a crime scene.
I try not to touch it, much less sit on it.
You sat on it the other day and you
I
looked like
did. I
you-
went, oh god.
And I only know this because it is common knowledge to anybody that has females around them. Sometimes females have to hover to pee, instead of sitting the ass down on the nasty whatever it is they've got in there. So that Tony was doing his best female hover sit that I've ever seen him do on that couch the other day while he had to show
Yeah.
me something on his phone. He was sitting there, he was like, yeah, here. And he's like, kind of, he's
The
like, I
only
don't want to be
reason
here.
that
I
I
don't wanna
chanced
be
it was I knew that it had been cleaned. But I was on the safer side. I didn't go past the chew bubblegum wall to the hammy side.
Were you on the Big
Oh.
Red Angie side?
Yeah, I was on the diet side.
Angie's side is a safer side.
Mostly you're gonna get like, I don't know, chemical burn from the Tums dust.
Yeah, there's a lot of Tums dust. I think that man's stomach is like 90% acid.
Well, I mean, he's called Big Red Angie.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why he's so angry, is his belly don't feel good ever.
And that's why he doesn't have a stress-induced ulcer, though, because he eats 46 Tums a day.
Yep. He also stomps a lot, so I guess it swooshes and touches every other part.
And Jack the Ripper was actually a very unique character in an anime that I had watched, because Jack the Ripper as a character has become so, it's kind of synonymous with plotting and manipulation and intimidation and basically just execution of flawless surgical slices, that he made his way into an anime called Record of Ragnarok. Record of Ragnarok is actually a pretty badass anime. It basically is a Mortal Kombat style fight between the gods and mythical figures of either religious texts or old mythology revolving around gods and this and that. It's between the gods and the mortal beings. So you'll have like mortal heroes to go up against godlike beings. And Jack the Ripper was one of the humans that was fighting on the side of humans, but I think he was actually picked by an evil god to fight. So I don't really know. It's hard to describe because anime be convoluted sometimes.
That's really cool. Like, because I've seen like Jack's gotten so big that he is used in so much media. I mean, even Batman did a adaptation of it, Gotham by Gaslight, where
Yeah.
that joke that I made about the billionaire and it's really the captain is like from that. A little bit of a spoiler, but I mean it came out how many years ago?
So many. It's fine.
You've had time. But like this take on that one is Jim Gordon is actually Jack the Ripper. And like Batman's sitting here trying to find it out and fighting with Catwoman, and it's really good. I recommend it. The art style is great, very like steampunky.
Yeah, I have it on my computer. I just haven't gotten a chance to visit that one.
I recommend it.
It's pretty cool. It's really low on the action though. It's mostly a lot of like
It's a lot more detective heavy, less punchy heavy.
and it's like
I'm cool with that.
it's like court shoe detectives as opposed to the gumshoe detectives.
Yeah. Like it's a slower one, but it's still a solid one. I watched it when I first got Max, and I was like powering through all the animated DC movies. It's a good one.
I know I come across a documentary one time on Netflix that I tried my damnedest to find the other day, or today and yesterday, that was about Jack the Ripper and about him possibly coming to the U.S. and doing similar killings around Louisiana, but I could not find it. Otherwise, I would tell you his name. But basically, the theory was he started off in England, and then when he dropped off there is when he came here, because I think there was 8 victims here that were very similar to the Whitechapel murders, and when he was here, he worked as an upholsterer because they went through and analyzed some of the stab wounds, and they basically was able to show you what the knife looked like that he used, and it's the same type of knife that was used in upholstery. And so this guy that was an upholsterer here, after like 10, 15 years after all the murders had taken place, goes and checks himself into a mental asylum, and he says, that he's a real bad guy and this is where he deserves to be. And while he was there, he wrote these different journals describing all the murders from Whitechapel and the murders here. And then when he died, they found those journals, and basically it was like his big confession to all of it.
That's pretty
It
interesting.
was super interesting, and I was really bummed I couldn't find it.
I may have to do some Google diving and see if
Yeah.
I can look up a copy of that.
So, New Orleans is Louisiana.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Jack the Ripper suspect jailed in New Orleans, and was reported. Yeah, I see. I'm trying to find the person's name on here who they
Yeah.
said they were, because it doesn't even say within this entire thing, because I'm speed reading the best that I can speed read, because all it describes is the look of the gentleman. Because the person that had reported who it was actually Henry Gubbin, and he was an employee of the United States Attorney's Office. He had said that he had seen it was a tall, eccentric, yet gentlemanly looking man.
Yeah, that's how he's always described. 'Cause that's how we have him, is a couple of descriptions of people that
Yeah.
think that that may be the description of the
because
killer.
there was some eyewitnesses of a man fleeing different alleys, not really fleeing, but leaving some of the alleys where some of these ladies were found. So there is a vague description of what he looked like, but nothing concrete. And this guy, as well as H.H. Holmes, matched a modern day composite photo that I think Scotland Yard managed to make from these accounts.
Yeah, that's it. It reminds me somewhat of like the D.B. Cooper things, where it's like no one truly knows what's going on. It's one of those mysteries that really can't happen modernly, just because. I mean, D.B. Cooper got onto a plane with a fake name that he wrote down, and just was able to get onto a plane with a suitcase that said that he had bombs in it, but no one truly knew, kind of thing. And it's like, that just can't happen today.
Okay, well, here's what his alias name was for there. So they have him as Dr. Francis Tumblety.
That sounds familiar.
And Dr. Tumblety arrived wearing 2 massive solitaire diamond rings, 3 cluster diamond rings, a magnificent gold chain and watch, produced a large amount of cash, stocks, and bonds, and explained that he had no reason to steal or hurt anyone. Ew. So even if that isn't Jack the Ripper, that's still somebody you don't want to deal with.
Right. Those sounds like they could be trophies.
That is there you go, Tony. That's exactly what Brain said. He didn't buy those.
Yeah, exactly.
He kept those. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, Jack did keep some organs from some of the ladies over in England, so it would make sense that he would also try to keep a trophy that would last longer too.
Yeah.
Something to enjoy now and something to enjoy later.
Yeah, that's the rings and trinkets and things and such stolen off of all of your victims. I mean, to me, if because all of these altercations with the person took place at night. Like even Jack the Ripper, to me, it like even leads into like vampire theory. Because down in New Orleans, there's very heavy vampire theory.
Yeah, if you go like more the occult look of it.
Yeah, well, that also falls into some of the religions in the area. Like, there's a lot of hoodoo practitioners and voodoo practitioners and Santeria practitioners and stuff that live in the area.
Yeah, there's quite a lot of man, and if you go to some of those districts down in New Orleans and not know what you're getting into spiritually, like you're gonna be in for a wild ride.
Well, not to mention like the Marie Laveau house.
Don't go there.
I kind of want to go there though.
I don't want to poke those. I used to poke the scariest of bears.
I mean, about the only way you can go there is you can walk near it because it's privately owned now.
Oh, update.
Well, didn't Nicolas Cage own it at one point? I know there was some celebrity that did, and then he sold it.
I meant to let everybody know that I had contacted the man that I refer to as the Wizard, and his name is Hunter. Hunter is my connection for getting you some cool EVPs.
Oh,
and
nice.
some footage. We've just had some trouble connecting this week because Hunter has a landline. That's it.
What?
He's a farmer. He's a 60-year-old farmer.
Oh.
Yeah, it's not a person who's my age. He's always been older than me. So this is the message that I received. Hold on, let's see if I can get it cranked up enough I received this week.
I have called.
I was expecting something a little more than that.
Yeah. Short, sweet, and to the point. I mean, yeah,
He's
you
the
did,
man.
bud.
He's the man. Oh,
Not gonna lie, that sounded kind of creepy though.
he's the
Like the
best.
spoopy kind.
I
Yeah.
have called.
I have called. He's the one who I received all of my demonology books and everything else from, and he's the person that got me the most into about learning what the different scientific instruments and everything we would take with us on our journeys would be about and for and why. So just it's also an oddball that you flip the side of the coin, and he also raises a bunch of cattle and doesn't have a cell phone unless it's an actual flip cell phone that he uses to only use if it's an emergency. Period. I think if it's still the same one that he had, unless they forced him to get away from it because it was such a good phone, it was still one of those gray Motorola flip button phones.
Whoa.
I'm not playing.
Well,
That's
it's
serious.
probably aged out of the possibility of use at this point.
Yeah, they probably had to force him out of it because that for the longest time you could hear him open his phone. You could hear him close his phone.
Oh, I can still hear that sound too.
I remember my buddy used to have, because he was a similar way where they just had like cell phones, but it would be that blue $30 Walmart flip phone that like everyone used to have, the blue and black one with like looked like almost like a car key. Oh, those things were.
Oh, you said flip.
Yeah, it was a blue flip phone.
My
You
first
get it
one
from-
was an OG Nokia, so
I don't remember. My first one was a Motorola, but I don't remember what.
though. In all fairness, when I had the OG Nokia, people had the Razor phones. So
Oh, I had one of those growing up. It was so cool.
I can just remember at the time whenever the cell phones from the Matrix movies where they would click the side of it and then the phone would just shoot up.
yeah, I wanted one of them so bad.
They made those. Those are real. You can
Oh,
buy
I know.
those. You can purchase those with adult dollars for. They won't work anymore.
Look,
but they still
I want
exist.
one of those, but it's a smartphone and it just goes shh. But actually made well where that shing doesn't break.
I went to and I'm gonna sidebar here, like we do, but I'm
Us?
announcing it
Never.
first. This
Whoa.
This is me talking
How
about
dare you say
stay
that
on-
we do things like that?
I want
we always stay
to. I
on
want
topic.
to warn and help, and I want to give you guys another horror story to go off of, just in the spirit of the spoopy season. I saw a commercial. Verizon told me that I could go and get a cell phone from them if I gave them my cell phone. And I said, cool, Verizon, I'll take you up on that. Because I use my cell phone all the time for my job, for everything that I'm doing with all the music and capturing stuff and maybe trying to make some shorts. And the new camera has a 0.5.
Why would you use your phone instead of like a pair of scissors to make shorts?
Oh, you know what I mean. Video
How does
shorts.
a phone cut through jeans?
Short form
You
videos.
get the razor.
Short form videos.
Makes sense.
So I wanted it, and not to mention too, the new iPhones have that super higher resolution camera that has a little touch sensor on the side that allows you to zoom in and out by just sliding your finger along it, so you can not
Oh,
have.
that's cool.
You don't have to. You just.
Yeah, the reverse pinch sucks. Half the time it goes, what are you saying to me?
So it was that, and the 0.5 macro lens to be able to get in up close and finite detail on stuff. I was excited about that, and a 5 times optical zoom. Anyway, get there, talk to them. They wrote me in. They let me check out the phones. I'm in there browsing. I was checking out the extendable screen phones and wondering how in the hell they don't explode.
You mean like the folds and the flips?
Yes, they are so hot. Like all the other phones on the wall on the charger.
Ooh, hey girl.
No, like,
Oh.
like, should I be
Well, I
touching
mean, look
this?
at, you would think with the ability to make a tablet that you're basically making a folding tablet. How hard could that be?
So I get into this situation to where I'm now talking to the person about getting this phone, and of course they have my information. They know what I want to do, and I want to get this phone. I was just going to go ahead because you said we could do this, especially if you had an iPhone. You're trading for an iPhone. They said, yeah, cool. We can get to going, and it turns out that it's actually not the deal that they were talking about. So nobody fall for this iPhone deal. They get you in there and they car salesman me. have you guys been car salesmen before? Like where you went and talked to a car salesman and he felt car salesman?
Oh yeah.
They car salesman me. They gave me this piece of paper that said a trade-in value on my phone, which is a perfectly good working phone. It's not got a scratch on it. It's not got a crack on the screen or anything. That's a protector. That's why it always kind of looks that way. It done its job.
Yeah, you keep it in a case and a screen protector.
Yeah, like you're supposed to. So my phone works great, and they said, well, your trade-in value on this is only going to be about $200. So we're
What?
Yeah. So the rest. So instead of it, just continuing with your payments like it's.
Isn't yours like a 14 Pro or something?
Mine's a 12 Pro Max,
Oh, okay.
the 256 gigabyte. But it's they evaluated it at like $200. And then they said, the rest of the phone price after that payment for your phone. So I'd be giving them my phone. They'd be giving me $200 towards the payments. So that means that my payment would go up from what it is, and it jumps up like $30 a month.
I mean, that's still not horrible.
But when they said, you come in, you get this on us.
I mean, yeah, I get that.
And then they almost got me like feeling like I needed to get the service, because they told me that my model of phone wasn't going to support the Apple One, which Apple One is something new to where you can bundle a bunch of your subscriptions together plus get a bunch of cloud memory. And for the price that I was paying for like Apple Arcade and Apple, Apple Music. So Apple Music, Apple Arcade, it was almost $20 a month for those two things. And for literally $20 a month, I can get Apple Arcade, Apple Music, Apple TV, and 50 gigabytes of cloud storage extra. So I was like, okay, I'd like to do that. Well, you can't do it on this phone. You'd have to get the new phone. The new phone lines are the ones that support Apple One. The old phone lines aren't doing well with supporting Apple One. And I was like, I wanted it. I was like, okay, cool, this would save me money on that, da-da-da. So I get home after we decided not to get the phone. After a feeling lied to by Verizon, and I was like, well, this lady was just trying to salesman me. I get she wasn't trying to do it wasn't nefarious,
She was doing what she was told to do.
And then I sit down on the couch and I open up my phone and it still has the notification open like, hey, you need storage. iPhones will always tell you need storage. And I was just going to shut it up for once because, fine, at least I'll upgrade this today. I'll spend 99 cents and upgrade my storage and you'll shut up. And I click onto it, and the first thing I see is a big black box with 4 logos on it from all these things that were previously described to me that said, would you like Apple One?
I mean, that doesn't even make sense that the phone line wouldn't be able to handle the subscription service.
Right.
What kind of put nitrogen in your tires? That'll make it be better than just air.
Put nitrogen in your tires. It's what it seemed. It was what it was. And I said, well, surely this is a mistake. Okay, most likely what they're going to do is this is an advertisement that Apple's putting on their phones during this spot. So I'm going to click into it, and it's going to just tell me that it's not compatible. And I clicked into it. I accepted into it. And it worked completely, and it even canceled my other subscriptions to carry over into the new subscriptions and then prorate me for the remaining time.
Thanks, Verizon.
So, yeah, I feel like that was for me, when I get anxiety real bad in sales scenarios like that. So that was a horror take for me. So I felt like that might be an appropriate little story to share in the evening.
It makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, on that, everybody have a good middle of October.
Yeah.
And we'll see you next week.
Austin, what would you do
Oh, no.
if Jack come up behind you and inserted grapes into your abdomen region?
I would say, Jack, why did you do that? Also, what inspired you to write Seven Nation Army?